out the meat, and the next thing is to cut the meat open. Another word or terminology we can use for that is that we can the maturation of this meat, and you will need a very new blade to do that. You can hold it. You can see where I'm holding at one end. Then you use your other hand to start macerating from this point. Start making sure you do a proper maceration, a proper cutting in order to release the sperm into the bones. Start doing it towards the upper part as I'm holding. Now, after you finish that process, we can also make use of what we call normal saline, which is salt concentration. We can always make use of the normal saline to achieve more motility of the sperms, But you need to be careful that you don't use too much of the normal saline for the dilution in order not to over dilute the sperm. But you can add a little content of the normal saline in order to enhance the motility of the sperms. So the next thing is procurement of eggs. Let me say this before we talk about procurement of eggs. Most people always ask me, why is it that procurement of eggs don't come before procurement of meat? Now, the answer is this. There are certain times during breeding exercise that you will cut open the male and you will not see anything inside. It's very, very possible based on the readiness of the male. And once that happens, if you have already collected the eggs from the female fish, that's not so good because you might have to go and look for another male. And that might take some time. And that is why we always advise that the first to go through is to procure or to collect the meat or the sperm from the male fish so that you know if it's good or not. You know if you are looking for another male or not. So we go into the next step, which is the procurement of eggs from the female fish. And you can see that in this particular slide. This process is called spawning. And what is spawning? Spawning is a gradual release of eggs from the female fish. Spawning is a gradual release of eggs from the female fish. Spawning is a gradual release of eggs from the female fish. And you can see that act going on as we are seeing on this particular slide. And you can see on the other picture the eggs that have been collected. Now, once you collect the eggs from the female fish, the next thing you are going to do is we go into what we call fertilization. What is fertilization? Fertilization generally has to do with the introduction of the male gametes or the fusion of the male gametes and the female gamete. And in this context, since it's artificial breeding, we have to bring these things together. We've collected our meat that we have enhanced with our normal saline, and we are going to combine it to the eggs that we have collected. We are going to combine to the eggs that we have collected. So you see us trying to do the introduction in this particular slide. You see us trying to add the meat with the eggs. Add the meat to the eggs in order to initiate fertilization. So the next thing after fertilization is what we call incubation and hatching. Incubation and hatching. Incubation and hatching. The process of incubation where we take our breeding nets to our culture of facility. We can see that types of breeding nets we are in that place at the bottom of breeding. And also another one which we call the cataban is take out that we know to whether later to them together. Working at hands heading on personal make your actually sex to be able to into the breeding facility while the unhatched white stays so it becomes easier for you to get the unhatched most eggs and produce what they bring for tank. This place is the of the fertilized eggs carbon also on it. So wonderfully you can make two together because one is at the bottom net while the carbon is. But I recommend that if you are using it together, after spraying the fertilized egg carbon, it's good you upturn the caravan. Somebody is saying, one of our participants is saying that the network is breaking. If you are hearing us well, can you just give us a thumb? And at what slide has it started breaking? Let's know so that maybe you can do a little bit of a recap. Okay, if you can hear us better now, let's know. Okay, one of our participants says still has this same incubation and hatching. Okay, so let's quickly take. Can you hear us well now so that we'll take incubation again?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, I can hear.
So let's take incubation again since it started skipping at incubation. Okay, I'm going to repeat myself that what takes place in incubation and the hatching stage is that it is at this stage that we now introduce our fertilized eggs into our breeding nets right inside the breeding facility or the tank. And we can make use of two types of nets. We have the black mosquito mesh size nets, which can always stay at the bottom. You can see that at the slides here. It's displayed at this particular slide here. Okay. Then we also have the other one, which is we call it the cataban. The cataban. The cataban is your normal sack that you know, the normal foodstuff sack. You can remove them one after the other by yourself. By the time you remove them one after the other, then you look for a way to weave them to make a big nesting material in coats. But we call them cataban for the spreading of the eggs. So it's so beautiful that you can decide to use any of the two. The black mosquito mesh net has a very great advantage. And what advantage is that? Is that by the time you spray your eggs on it, during hatching, the egg ones are able to drop into the hatchery facility easily, while the dead egg stays on it. So it's easier to remove the dead eggs with the mesh mosquito inside the mesh mosquito. Then the other cataban is also helpful since it actually stays afloat. So you can use the two together because the black one actually stays down and this cataban can stay afloat. Okay, so you can make use of the two. And the next aspect is what you can see at this other picture here. That's spreading your fertilized eggs. So you can spread them at the bottom on the mesh black net. Then you can also spread on the cataban as well. Now take note. I always advise people that if you are spreading your eggs on the cataban, which is at the surface, after the spreading, it's very good you turn it upside down. It's good to turn the catapan upside down so that where the eggs is staying can fit down. The reason is because it's a surface, it's easier that harsh environmental condition or high temperature can affect the eggs and you might not be able to have good hatching. Once this is achieved, you have sprayed your eggs. The next thing is to wait for the hatching, which takes place 24 hours after fertilization. The hatching of the eggs takes place 24 hours after fertilization, and that is actually dependent on the temperature within your own area. For people who are in places where the temperature is so high, they must start experiencing hatching as fast as 16 hours, 17 hours, 18 hours after fertilization. But however way, keep a close watch on your breeding so that you are able to know the exact time that your breeding, your eggs starts hatching. You can actually decide to subject them to flow-through system. A flow-through system is a constant introduction of water to come in and to go out